We continue learning Dirshu Mishnah Brura Hilchais Betzias Hapas. We're in the middle of Kov Samachas, in the middle of the difficult halachais. What is a mezainis? What is a hamaitzi? The intricate halachais of Pas Hababikistin. So we're in the middle of Sif Yud over here, discussing chavitza, discussing different types of crushed up breads, and at what point they lose their shame pas. And the Mechaber continues, their bread is not cooked to crumbs. It's stuck together. If it's not cooked and the pieces are large, then they're hamaitzi, even though it doesn't look like bread right now. But if they're not so large, then it depends whether they look like bread or not. Then Mavarach Lavamoitzi Uberachas Hamazah. V'mein b'toyer lechem. Then Baruch Baruch Mimizaynis Barachachas Mein Shalish. So explains the Mishnah Berurah over here. Sif Katan Non Ches. Im Yesha Beprusa. If there is in the piece the Sher Kazayis, says Mishnah Berurah, Hainu Afilu Ba'achas Mem Kanal. Even one of them. Like we said in the previous case, we gave the example of matzah brai, that you're crushing up the matzah, maybe you're soaking the matzah, we said so, but as long as it's going to be one piece larger than a kazayis, then the entire entity is going to get the shame mizaynais on it. So similarly over here says the Mishnah Berurah, if one piece has a kazayis, then it retains its hamaitzi. Hatam da'adav mizeh ma'ifar that what the kivan shaloi nitmashel, since it's not cooked, tayar lechem shaloi chashiva shunikar v'yodua yoiser. So the reason why this is different than the first half of the Sif, says the Mishnah Berurah, because since it's not cooked, it automatically has more of an appearance, more of a recognizability to bread. So says the Mishnah Berurah, that's why over here it just depends on Kizayi. So Mashkaza Berachas Hamazon Kishachol Kama Purim reminds us, the Mishnah Berurah, that of course Berachas Hamazon is only when you eat the requisite shear. So in our scenario that we're discussing crumbs, it's only going to be if you eat many piruim ad shear Kizayis. In Pira Lechem, if you crush up the bread ad Shechzir and Lisoiles, it goes back to flour, and then now you knead it with oil. Some sort of matzah balls, which he's discussing, the Mishnah Berurah is discussing crushed up bread, mamish told flour, probably what are, well, not really breadcrumbs, but something like that. And then you put them back together with honey or with oil. Says Mishnah Berurah, the Askama, many achreinim, chayadim, nishmas adam, etc. Te'im bashlam b'kideiroi tignam b'machavat b'mashke l'chashav kibishel. If you cook them in a pot, or if you fry them in a frying pan in a liquid, av sheish v'lachas kazayis v'yoiser, even though each one is large, still, because it was crushed up bread to the point of flour, mivarech aleihem b'rei minei mizaynis afilu machal harbe v'chein hu minig oilam. But again, that's only if it was cooked or it was fried. So this would be the example. Let's go back to our matzah brai example. If you mamish crush up the matzah all the way, and then you cook it, or you crush up bread or matzah and you make it into a ball, you make a real matzah ball, and then you cook it, that will be a mezainis. But if you bake it, if you bake it, then all bets are off. Then it doesn't lose the shame lechem, and you should only eat in the middle of the meal, unless it's roiv, oil like dvash, doesn't varach aleim b'arei minei mezainis. If you knead it with water and bake it, then yeshlam pas kamar, then it's regular bread. The fact that it started as bread and you crush it up and now you put it back to bread basically has a regular din of bread. And now the Sif continued and it said, let's continue with the Mechaber. You don't cook it, you don't combine the pieces, they're separate pieces. Even though it's not large pieces, and it doesn't look like bread, still, Mevarich lava ha'maitzi uberach samaz. And this is called challah crumbs. If you have crushed up bits of bread, which are not connected back together, they're not cooked, they're not a kazayis, they don't look like bread. What's their bracha? They're bread. You make a regular ha'maitzi. What's going to be a shear to make a bracha of birchas ha'mazain? Continues the Mishtabura, Sivkota and Samach, V'loitay Arlechem, Hainu Shalidei Shumafura Dak Dak. What does this mean? This means because you crushed it up so small, kisaylas like flour, lominka love teres lechem, you no longer can recognize that it's bread. V'atam, the reason is the kimshu pas b'fnei atzma v'enam b'chover. It's regular bread. Eino yoytel elam teres lechem. It does not leave the status of bread. V'ayim v'achronish eskimu dafilu sharab irum b'mayim. Ooh, says the achronim. What if you soak the crumbs in water? Again, not cooked in water. In all the cases we've been discussing till now, we were saying about the matzah braying, etc. There, you cooked it in water. Here, you didn't cook it in water. You soak it in water. It's not combined back together. Pas. That's only if you soak it a little bit. Labnu amayim deizet turns the water white. We'll see in a moment. And ubracha me'im shalosh. That's the end of Sif Yod, and we'll pick it up from Sif Yod Aleph in the next year. B'siyata Dishmaya.